It's known as the perfect place for music and art. What you'll see at the Sheldon, that's next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter, and welcome to City Corner. The Sheldon is located in the heart of the Grand Center Arts District in St. Louis. Chris Peimann is the Sheldon's Director of Marketing and Publicity, and we say hello.
Hello.
Greetings, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I mean this, the Sheldon has always been one of my favorite venues in St. Louis.
Well, thank you so much. We love being part of the St. Louis community, and the Sheldon has a long history in our city, and we're glad to be a place that we think we offer something for everyone.
For those that don't know, kind of describe the location. It's walking distance from the Fox.
It is. We're right behind the Fox Theater on Washington Boulevard, like you said, in the heart of Grand Center. We are so proud to be in that district with the symphony and with all of the museums and galleries that are there and near St. Louis University. So it's a really thriving, vibrant area.
How long have you been with the Sheldon?
I've been there for 19 years.
Wow.
Getting ready to start my 20th season.
Then you've really seen it, because I remember 19 years ago and what Grand Center, I don't even think they called it Grand Center then, but what that area was like. I mean, the Fox was there, Powell Hall was there, but it wasn't quite the place we know today.
That's exactly right. There are now so many more performing arts venues. There are so many visual arts venues. We have, of course, Channel 9, St. Louis Public Radio, KDHX. There are schools and
the Pulitzer, the Contemporary.
Pulitzer Contemporary, and the Centene Center that houses tons of smaller arts organizations.
The Kranzberg is something new.
Absolutely, the Kranzberg Arts Center, Jazz at the Bistro. There's just so many things going on there, and I have definitely been so happy to see it grow and change, and just be part of that is fabulous.
And well, my day job is with St. Louis Public Radio, and from the studio where I broadcast, the window looks right into the back parking lot of the Sheldon. So I'm always watching people come and go, and new acts arrive and unload their buses and things. And you have a really busy schedule through the year.
We do. I think it's close to 400 events a year these days. And that includes, of course, concerts, gallery events, educational programs, weddings, and other events that we rent our facility for. So some days we have 2 or 3 events in one day. So
wow.
That's why I've been there for so long. Every day is exciting.
And you still got a lot to do.
That's right.
Well, what we're going to do today, Chris, is sort of preview what you have coming up between now and the end of the year, which is quite a lot. And why don't we just get into that right away? And we have an event coming up pretty soon, I think, in August.
We do. August 15th is our next event. We have a great local series called Notes from Home. And it is a series that has gone on for over 20 years. It features local artists. And we are going to be featuring Rachel Seiler.
Which is this lady?
Yes. And she is a wonderful young singer-songwriter. She graduated from Webster University in May. And she is moving to Nashville. So this is kind of her last hurrah in St. Louis before she goes to Nashville and kind of launches her career. She's a country music singer. She's inspired by everyone from Keith Urban to Patsy Cline. So she has a wide range of...
So kind of traditional sound, does she?
Traditional sound, but also with a very modern sensibility. So we're lucky to have her, and I think she's someone to watch for the future.
And that is August?
On August 15th.
All right, what's after that?
Then we have an evening with Dave Rawlings' Machine. So this is a repeat artist for us. Dave Rawlings is married to Gillian Welsh, who's one of the most well-known, kind of new, kind of alt-country singer-songwriters out there. And together, they are just fabulous. Their band is always an all-star type band. It's kind of up-and-coming, great performers that you're going to see in the future on their own. And so that is on August 17th, and tickets are selling fast for that one.
All right, what's after that?
After that, we have a really interesting event. It's called Cinema Twain, and it is Val Kilmer, the actor, who did this performance in Los Angeles as Mark Twain. He filmed it, and now he's taking that film around the country, and he's calling it Cinema Twain. It is going to be a movie viewing, but Val Kilmer will be there, and he'll be doing a question and answer session after the movie.
Wow.
And also a meet and greet with some of his fans. So it's a really cool project. He got great reviews for this project in Los Angeles, and we're excited to have that on our stage.
I guess maybe there's some people that aren't really familiar with the writings of Mark Twain. If they're not, I think they'd be pleasantly surprised. I've seen Hal Holbrook and interviewed him a few times over the years. He's very famous for doing that series. And then there's a gentleman up up around Hannibal, a native there, that his name just escapes me, but he does the Mark Twain too.
And this is definitely in that tradition. It's very much a respectful interpretation of Twain's works, and as we know, his writings are even more relevant today, it seems, even when they were at the time. So it'll be a very fun, funny night with a great actor.
All right, what else is coming up?
Well, we have an event that we kind of slipped in to our schedule, another local artist. His name is Chris Walters. He was born in New Orleans, but raised in St. Louis. So he kind of combines those two musical traditions, and he does his own style of kind of jazz that mixes those two traditions, and he'll be doing original music with his band.
Should we point out that, you know, people always think of New Orleans for jazz, but St. Louis ranks right up there in the history of jazz.
It does, and I think that connection we have with the river really connects us with New Orleans, and a lot of those musicians came up the river and had careers here too. So it'll be a great night of new traditional jazz music.
That makes sense
That's
to me.
August 22nd.
And then what?
And then we have a really special event. It's the United States Air Force Mid-America Band. It is their chamber recital musicians. So they are out of Scott Air Force Base, and they have several different ensembles they tour with. This is their chamber ensemble, and the event is free. That's on September 12th, and they do a series of these free events throughout the community. It's part of the service that they provide, and these are world-class musicians.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little behind-the-scenes thing, if I could, Chris.
Of
I told you
course.
how I spy on you from the window where I
Yes.
work, and I always see people come and go, and I look at your schedule and everything. I'm just wondering how complicated it is when you have acts back-to-back coming in. Do they need rehearsal time? To me, it seems like it must be highly coordinated.
It absolutely is. We always say we live and die by our calendar because, like we said, sometimes we'll have a performance in the morning. We need to make sure they get their equipment off stage by noon so that new band can come and start loading in at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So definitely it's a puzzle that we put together every day.
Yeah, wow. Let's look at the next event that you have coming up at the
so
Sheldon.
another event that was kind of added in sort of just recently, just went on sale this week. It's called Live Inspired. It's an evening with John O'Leary. He is a local inspirational speaker. I think his story might be well known to a lot of your viewers. When he was 9 years old, he was in a terrible fire and burned on 100% of his body. He was not expected to survive, and not only did he survive, he has thrived and is now someone who's written a book and an inspirational speaker on the circuit throughout the world about his trials and tribulations and how you can live your best life. So that's being presented with KMOX. They're bringing him in, and so that's going to be a fabulous night of inspiration.
Good, I could use some.
Yes, we all can, can't we? The next event is also a cool kind of literary event. Margaret Atwood, the wonderful author who, of course, is even more well-known now with The Handmaid's Tale is one of her most popular novels and now a wonderful television show. She is receiving the St. Louis Literary Award, which is given by St. Louis University and their library associates. So she will be coming in and doing some speaking and receive this award from SLU. It's one of the longest-term literary awards in the country and becoming one of the most prestigious. So she's following a long line of great authors who will be getting this award, and we're glad to have that on the Sheldon stage.
Chris, are you actually involved in booking these things, or do you have a committee that does that?
We actually have our great executive director, Paul Reuter, who's the main booking person for our hall, but we all get input, which is the fun part of being in such a small organization.
But isn't it true, like, you know, you just mentioned a few there that were sort of last minute things, but for a lot of people, don't they book a year in advance and stuff?
At least, yeah. We have already have our kind of subscription series set through May of next year. So we started selling subscriptions in April, and so we have people buying tickets well over a year out.
Well, since you brought it up, could you talk just a little bit about subscriptions and what's the best way to go?
Absolutely. So we have several different series. We focus on jazz, classical, folk music. We also have a coffee concert and a matinee series that are in the morning that are great for seniors or people who don't like to get out at night. And those are all preset packages that are on sale now. Those series kick off in October for the most part and go throughout the season until about May. And we're selling those right now, so people can go to our website, thesheldon.org, or call us at the Sheldon and order their subscription now. Then they lock in a great seat for every show, they get a little bit of a discount, and then they have their entertainment set for the year.
But if you're like me and you walk up the day of the show, you still might get in.
We often have tickets the night of show. We are a small place, only about 700 seats, so we do have a lot of sellouts, but often we have seats available at the door as well.
So, all right. So what's the next event Sheldon has on the calendar?
So another event that was kind of added in, another partnership we're doing, this time with the Central West End Association and Left Bank Books. They just announced a book festival that they're doing. And so the kickoff event is on September 22nd, the night before the book fest at the Sheldon, with Sherman Alexie, who is a Penn Faulkner Award winner and a really well-known author. He just has a book out called You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, which is getting great reviews. And so he's going to be on stage doing some reading and some talking. And those who come to the event will also get 1 or 2 of his books, depending on what level they buy.
What's the name of the book again?
It is called You Don't Have to Say You Love Me.
Do you know what that's about?
I do not. I haven't read the synopsis yet, but I think I can kind of guess.
I'm starting to think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
What's next?
So then we jump into our regular Sheldon season. We kick off our kind of Sheldon events with Black Violin. Now, this is a really amazing duo. They play violin, of course.
Is that classical?
It is classical mixed with hip hop and pop and rock and any other genre you can think of.
Wow.
These guys are just amazing violin players, but they've really opened up their audience by mixing it with these kind of newer and younger leaning genres. So they were at the Sheldon a couple years ago, and just it was amazing the diversity of the ages that came. Kids love them, adults love them.
It sounds like they might be storytellers too.
I hope so. I feel like they have a lot to share, and we actually have a group of kids that are going to get to come and speak with them at sound check, so they can kind of find out, how did this happen? How did you decide to go this direction with your violin playing?
That should be a good one.
That is going to be fabulous. Then we have our first coffee concert of the year. This is a series we do on weekday mornings where people come and have a coffee and a donut before the show. And then there's a 1-hour performance.
Just one donut?
You can have as many donuts as you want. We order more. We order extra. It's Zoe von der Haar, who people know from Stages and her work in St. Louis, a fabulous actress.
And that's Ben
and
Nordstrom on the left.
And John Fleck and Steve Neal, well-known people in the St. Louis area. They are coming together to do a show called It's a Musical.
Just stop. You know, that's a good shot of the stage there. I've been on that stage so many times.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you'd just say something about this wood paneling on the stage. There's something about the intimacy of the Sheldon stage that's so special.
It is special for the audience and for the performers, too. As you kind of mentioned at the top of the show, we're known for our acoustics, and that wood paneling is kind of one of the keys to it. As I mentioned, we have about 700 seats, and the hall was built in 1912 before we had any kind of amplification. So Louis Spearing, a local St. Louisan who was known for his work at the World's Fair, was hired as the architect to build the Sheldon. He was hired by the Ethical Society, who commissioned the building, and they wanted it to have perfect acoustics. So he consulted with acousticians from Europe, some of the opera houses there, I think as well as the Boston Symphony Hall, and found out the type of wood that should be used to help reflect and absorb the right amount of sound. There's no 90-degree angles in the hall. It's all a little offset so that sound can travel around. We even have a big empty space underneath the stage that we call the cave that has over 100-year-old dirt underneath, and that's what kind of tamps the sound down and helps with the acoustics. So,
and I just want to mention too, the backstage area is the nicest backstage I've ever seen. It's like a lounge in a fancy hotel.
Well, that's what everyone tells us. It's the nicest backstage in town. It was built as the library for the Ethical Society. So it's this beautiful, warm room, and it really extends that experience for the musicians. They have this wonderful welcome in the green room, and then this wonderful, warm, intimate hall, and the audience is right there with them.
And then I've seen a performance upstairs.
Oh, yes, our ballroom, which, again, I mentioned earlier, we have weddings and other events, but that room is also used for concerts. And it gives us a little more casual space to have a little dance party or a band that might be a little loud and crazy.
I saw Marilyn May up there once, and it was like tables. They had
like a New York cabaret.
Yes, exactly. It was really fun.
So.
Hey, we need to take a break, but we've got a lot more that's coming up at the Sheldon between now and the end of the year, and we'll get back to that right after this.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
I'm Steve Potter. Welcome back to City Corner. Chris Peimann is our guest today. She's in charge of marketing and publicity at the Sheldon in Grand Center, and we're looking at the schedule they have of performances and things between now and the end of 2017. And before I go any further, Chris, we're talking about musicians and performers right now, but you got a couple of art galleries that always have something interesting going on too.
We do, and I think that's such a unique thing about the Sheldon. We have the art galleries mixed with the music, and so we try to connect those as much as possible. But in the meantime, the galleries are open 5 days a week. They're free and open to the public, and we have a couple really great exhibits that are going till the end of August, even into September in a couple cases. One is an exhibit called Higher Ground, Honoring Washington Park Cemetery, and this is an exhibit of photos and video and interpretive art about Washington Park Cemetery up near the airport. Many people probably know that it had a long history of being not very well respected and not very well taken care of over the years.
Forgotten, right?
Exactly. It's an African-American cemetery that several times was cut up and moved and bodies exhumed to make way for the highway, to make room for airport expansion. And so there's a really great group of people now who are trying to restore it, to get it back to its former glory. And this exhibit is just a really beautiful, moving way for people to kind of see the journey it's been on and sort of that positive kind of future that everyone hopes that it has. So that's wonderful. Circus Harmony, a wonderful group that performs at City Museum, has a beautiful exhibit in our lower level galleries. It's beautiful photos and images of the kids that perform with Circus Harmony.
Jessica Hentoff.
Jessica Hentoff, wonderful director of the group, and the students are all so wonderful and just come from a diverse array of backgrounds. They also have some writings and thoughts that the kids themselves have contributed about how they feel about being part of this troupe.
And they perform in Circus Flora every year.
They do, which of course just ended and is such a great St. Louis institution. So another great way we love connecting with other arts organizations.
All right, let's get back to the Sheldon as far as their concerts and performances go. What's next on the calendar?
Well, we left off in October with Honey Honey. They are a really cool duo. They perform kind of an edgy version of bluegrass. They play traditional instruments,
Wait a minute.
but
Edgy bluegrass?
yes, I know that sounds like maybe that's an oxymoron, but they are really just kind of harmony-driven and really fun on stage. But they also have this really modern take on traditional bluegrass music.
They look cool.
They are cool. Then we move into our jazz series on October 14th, a great group called Hudson. It truly is an all-star group. It has Jack DeJohnette, the wonderful drummer, bassist Larry Grenadier, John Medeski from Medeski, Martin and Wood, and then John Schofield, a wonderful guitarist. They are celebrating Jack DeJohnette's 75th birthday, but the name Hudson comes from the Hudson River Valley, where they all make their home now.
In New York.
So in New York. So these are guys who are so vital still in the jazz world, but all happen to be in this one little community, and they're touring together. They have a new album that has just gotten rave reviews. So that's going to be a really special night.
And that's when?
That is October 14th.
All right, what's after that?
After that, another fabulous return artist for us, October 20th, Bailiff Fleck, the amazing banjo player from Bailiff, Fleck and the Flecktones, and his wife, Abigail Washburn, who is also an amazing banjo player. They are doing a duo show, and the two of them on stage are just magical. They just play off each other so well, and though Bela is probably more well-known for his banjo playing, he really works well.
And for like 20 or 30 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I think 30 years at least the band has been around. And we've had Bela and Abigail both on our stage together. It's just gonna be a really special night.
Great.
Then we have another show that was kind of dropped in. This one we're working with Pagan Productions, our friends from the pageant and other venues, to put on George Winston. He's been at the Sheldon many times, but it's been many years. He's a wonderful interpretive piano player. He still plays in just his socks, from my understanding, so he always has a little quirkiness about him that we love. So that will be on October.
You don't mean he just plays in his socks.
Oh, no, sorry. I should have reworded that. No shoes. I'll put it that way. So we're glad to have him back. And then we move into another local artist, Kevin Rennick, on October 24th. People might remember his name. He had the theme song that ran at the end of the Oscar-nominated movie Up in the Air, the one that was filmed here partially in St. Louis with George Clooney.
I was an extra in that.
Fabulous. So Kevin had a song at the end of that movie that won some awards, and he has a new album out, and we'll be celebrating that at the Sheldon.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm glad, let me just stop you for
course.
a minute, Chris. It's neat that you feature local people from time to time, and just recently, and you've done it for a few years now, you've worked with the Muni, and they have, they're not necessarily local, but they're local favorites that come and perform every year and do little series.
Yes, that has become such a fun and popular series. So the Muni will invite artists that had performed on their stage the previous summer and ask them to come and do a cabaret style show or some sort of more intimate performance. And they've been doing that at the Sheldon twice a year for the last couple years. My understanding is they are planning on doing that again. They will probably be announcing their dates and their artists once their season wraps up in a few weeks. So we're excited to see that.
All right, what's next on the calendar?
Next on the calendar is one of our absolute favorites, guitarist John Pizzarelli.
I know him, yes.
He is so loved in St. Louis. People often think he's from here. He's not. He is from New York.
His father was a longtime band member on the Tonight Show band.
Absolutely, Bucky. And we've had John and Bucky both at the Sheldon many times. This time John is coming with his quartet, and this will be a fundraiser for the Sheldon Art Galleries. It's a fun night that we do where we tie in an artist with an exhibit. In this case, we are exhibiting from our Hartenberger World Music Collection stringed instruments. So what better stringed instrument to feature than a guitar?
Right.
So John will be coming to help us celebrate that exhibit.
I've interviewed him a few times on the radio. He's a neat guy.
His onstage banter is almost as good as his music. He is charming, he is wonderful and funny, so it's a great entertaining night.
All right.
So then we move into Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder.
All right.
Speaking of great stringed instruments, Ricky is probably the most well-known mandolin player in music today. And he was well known for his country music in the 80s and got to a point where he was ready to go back to his bluegrass roots. And so for the last 15, 20 years has really focused on really preserving the traditional bluegrass music. And the great thing about Ricky is that he brings amazing musicians with him that are sure to be stars one day as well.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. We next go to another coffee concert, this time with Red Lair and the Powerhouse 5.
So this is the morning deal.
This is the morning deal, so more coffee and donuts, November 14th and 15th. And these guys are longtime St. Louis musicians. Red Lair leads a number of jazz groups, and this one is one of his most fun and high-energy groups.
They look good.
They are great. Probably one of my favorite artists that we have this year is next, and that's November 18th. A beautiful jazz singer named Cecile McLaurin Salvant.
I never heard of her.
She is, you will hear of her in the future because she is one of the most fabulous up-and-coming singers.
I can tell she's got personality.
Absolutely. Personality is the name that I would give her for sure. She channels Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday and all these really traditional jazz singers, but she is so modern and so cool, and she makes it her own. We debuted her in St. Louis a couple years ago, and it blew everybody away, so we're glad to have her back. I'm sure it's just going to be even better than the first time. So we are already in December, believe it or not, and we have our final coffee concert of 2017 with Tim Shaw and Carol Schmidt called We Need a Little Christmas.
I know Carol, don't I? Isn't she local?
She is local, and she's a fabulous piano player, and Tim Shaw is one of the most well-known cabaret singers from St. Louis.
Right.
He does a cabaret festival every year and is well-known to St. Louis audiences. He is a fabulous performer, and so they'll be doing everything from Little Drummer Boy to Let It Snow and just kind of kick off the holidays, again, with donuts and coffee. So
and it'll be cooler then, right?
Hopefully, yes. I know it's hard to think about December today, isn't it? We have a couple more. Dean Christopher is another local performer. He is straight out of the Rat Pack kind of genre.
Frank Sinatra thing.
And he in fact is doing on December 5th a show called Vegas Rat Pack and More Christmas. So he'll be doing traditional Christmas songs, but in that Rat Pack style. He's an actor, a singer, just kind of an overall performer, and he's been on our stage a couple times, always a favorite.
He looks like he's got that Rat Pack attitude.
He does.
Yeah.
He does, in the best way possible.
Yes.
So we kind of end our year with a really exciting show with the Spanish Harlem Orchestra. They are doing a show called Salsa Navidad. So that kind of says it all. It's a Hispanic take on Christmas favorites with a big band out of Harlem. This show is our traditional and our yearly collaboration with the Hispanic Arts Council of St. Louis, a fabulous organization that kind of celebrates culture and arts of the Hispanic countries. And so every year we do a concert with them, and this is that show. So we're expecting a great night with people from all different regions of Latin America and, of course, St. Louis. And the Hispanic Arts Council always hosts a wonderful reception afterwards with traditional food that everyone that comes to the show is invited to. So you get wonderful music, wonderful food, and this great kind of community collaboration.
Can't beat it. Is that it for 2017?
That is it for 2017.
And so when do things start in the new year? You take any kind of break, or is it just...
You know, summer is a little bit quiet for us. We don't have a lot in June and July. As I mentioned, we have several shows coming up in August, gearing us towards September, which is really when we kick off. And then we'll have a whole other great slate of concerts from January through May. Many of those are already listed on our website at thesheldon.org. And people can keep checking back. We always add more shows as the year goes on.
Right, yeah, you proved that today, that
Yes.
they can just pop up in any second. We've just got a minute or two left,
Yeah.
though. Chris, talk a little bit about you're also involved in other things, like you have some educational programs through the year.
We do. One of our biggest missions is to help continue the arts as something that kids and the next generations come up supporting. So we have education programs in sort of the different genres that we present for adults. So we have jazz, folk, classical, world music, Broadway music, and these are all musical programs that we put on weekday mornings for schools. We have about 25,000 kids each year that go through the programs.
25,000?
25,000. We also started a new initiative last year that focuses on STEM/STEAM. So that's the science, technology, engineering, and math that every school is trying to focus on, but we throw the arts in there to make it STEAM. So many companies like Boeing, who's one of our big sponsors for our STEAM programs, have seen the value that the arts bring to even scientific disciplines, because you have that out-of-the-box creative thinking that they're looking for.
One thing before I run to go, what are they building just around the corner from you?
Oh, so
Right
our
on Grand there.
Sheldon Plaza, yes.
Yeah.
So that should be finished up this fall. We are connecting our west side of our building with Public Media Commons next door at Channel 9 and creating a walkway where people will be able to cut through the block coming from the south and access Grand Center through this beautiful kind of art and entertainment walkway. We're going to have a vertical garden that goes up on the west side of our building. Those panels that the garden will grow upon are supposed to be installed later this summer. So that's going to be an exciting addition. It'll just be a beautiful gathering space and kind of an outdoor area where people can kind of enjoy Grand Center in a different way.
It keeps getting better and better there, doesn't it?
I think so, absolutely.
Any predictions for the future?
You know what? I think it's just going to continue to grow. We hope that Grand Center already is the center of art and culture in St. Louis, but each year it seems like there's a new organization or a new initiative that comes in, and I think the possibilities are endless. I think it really is going to be a national model.
And there's a new parking garage there too, which doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. The Fox garage opened this week, from my understanding.
So the Sheldon Concert Hall and Art Galleries on Washington Avenue. If you want to hear or find out more, get tickets for any of the shows, or find out about subscriptions, go to thesheldon.org. Chris Peimann, thank you so much for checking in with us today. It's going to be an exciting remainder of 2017 at the Sheldon, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Steve Potter, and that's it for this edition of City Corner. Hope you can join us next time. Thanks.